Good morning, YouTube. Cars are safer than ever. They're going for no deaths. A lot of auto companies, no deaths at all in any of their cars in the coming years. It's a laudable goal, but it is making cars very expensive. But there have been some weird ones over the years and some weird ones currently. So I thought I'd go over a list I found of the weirdest car safety features that have ever been done, and then we could talk about what annoyed us the most personally with car safety nowadays.
I get it. You need more safety features. Like back in the day in these old cars, they had like steel panels right in front of you on the dash. Like they didn't have a padded dash. Like what is up with that?
No collapsible steering wheel.
No steering wheel, no headrest. So if you get in a tiny little fender bender, like you have a broken neck and you're toast.
Well, I talked about in Barrett Jackson, like in 50s Cadillacs, that had the big horn button that was sort of bullet shaped, how Sammy Davis Jr. lost his eye in a car accident with a Cadillac because it popped his eye out.
Did that really happen?
That really happened,
That seems like a literally nightmare.
Because he's a very, very short guy.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So no collapsible steering column there. There's been a lot of advancements over the years, some of them government mandated.
Yeah.
But the first safety feature that's weird that we're going to go over goes back to the 1910s.
Okay, when the speed limit was like, what, 5 miles an hour?
Yes, but they were still struggling for traction with these little small skinny tires. So they came out with vacuum cup tires.
Huh, that's so cute.
So little suction cups on the tires to keep you gripping on the ground in ice. I guess it makes sense because it's a smooth surface where we
Right. That's a great idea.
It didn't work. It just collected dirt and crap and things. It was a gimmick. It didn't do anything, but it was a weird design at the early times of the automobile. But famous for its safety features were Tucker, where there was a lot of advancements, but there was some weird stuff. They had a crash chamber in the Tucker torpedo. Now, this is a company that went bankrupt after they built less than 50 cars. Some people say it's like the big three conspired to have them bankrupted. Some say that Tucker was just a bad businessman. But if you were in an unavoidable accident, one of their safety features was the passenger compartment was padded all up in front. It was a crash chamber where you would just dive into the chamber and just lay down in this padded area down beneath, like by the seat in the front area, and then just be in the accident, but be in this cocoon of foam.
Can we like recreate one of these for the house in Kansas here when a tornado comes? Because they're, just so you know, like, because I'm from Chicago, I thought everyone in Kansas had a tornado shelter. They don't. They're like, oh, just go in the basement. Like, that doesn't seem safe at all. I thought everyone had its own dedicated shelter. Well, now Tucker should recreate these, make little kits to have tornado shelters made out of the specs from a Tucker.
The thing that's not safe about this is your thought is to bail at the moment of an accident rather than trying to avoid it. Just like, oh no, and go in there.
You have to dive into the accident.
Dive into it, like, okay, I give up. Bye. You're not on the brake. You're not doing anything to try and slow down. It's pretty dumb. They had like other features like the Cyclops Eye where it steers.
With the steering wheel,
which we've adapted nowadays with a lot of cars. They did have like a breakout class where you can kick it and it sort of just pops out, which kind of a weird one, but this was definitely the weirdest one with Tucker in the 1940s.
I like it. Sometimes they don't have kid seats, child car seats.
They didn't have seatbelts,
you could just put your kid in the crash chamber up front and they'll be a lot safer.
So the next one comes a few decades later, and it's called the Spaceometer. Charles Adler Jr. Yeah, it sounds very fancy, but it's not. It's just
it sounds like it's from Star Trek.
It's a speedometer where they put in the car lengths. See? So 2 car lengths, 4 car lengths, 7, 10. Depending on how fast you're going, how many car lengths you need to stop. So you know what distance to follow.
It obviously depends on the weight of your car and all that stuff too, and what kind of ground you're on if it's wet. But that's very interesting.
But obviously, let me look down. 10 car lengths. My 10 car lengths to hit them. Bam.
So if you're going 70 miles an hour, you have 18 car lengths to be able to stop to a 0.
In an old car. In newer cars, that's definitely not the case.
But that's a good reminder of being careful. Obviously, it didn't get passed on to the next generation, but I think that's a cool idea.
So another fun gimmick in the 60s, this one's much cooler, is a water-filled bumper. So a bumper within a bumper where it's basically a collapsible balloon filled with water. So you can hit cars and not do any damage at all. It actually worked really well. Look at this.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they're just smacking the heck out of each other.
How do they get them watertight?
Well, I think there's like a relief valve. They don't pop them because you can refill them and reuse them.
Is that when water beds were really popular? No. It just seems crazy,
Right,
but a great idea. But it would be really heavy. Water is very heavy, actually. So
these would be pretty small, but I think as heavy as cars were back then, they had these giant steel bumpers that, bumped anyway, that this was actually pretty cool. And I think it was a few years after this where the U.S. actually mandated impact bumpers that come out a lot further, and they have a shock to them in the inside, at least with German cars, where the lines got ruined on these things because of these giant bumpers they had to put on to do that. So sort of this technology actually did get adapted, but
I
little
kind of
water
like
beds.
that if when you're in a store and they have the tags on clothes, and if you try to take the tag off, it like shoots you with blue ink. Like this would be a good way where you can't have a hit and run because the car who rear-ended you would shoot off blue ink all over your car, and you'd know exactly where it came from, and there's no hiding from it. It's a good little hit and run tactic.
But weird, but pretty cool. Look at this classic Mustang.
That's crazy.
Slam it. It's a California special, and it does look weird on the thing, but pretty neat.
That's great. I love that.
Looks a little inappropriate when they start tapping that rear, just.
But it kind of makes you want to do it on purpose.
And they have it to where it squirts out the top and not the bottom. So it's like, anyway, yeah.
That's great. I never knew that existed. I wonder if there's cars that actually still have that capability to do that, or if it's just kind of like a one-off thing. Let's try this.
Right. So that one's kind of cool. Never got adapted. This one was adapted for a year and then quickly abandoned. It's called rim blow steering wheels. What? Sounds very appropriate.
What?
But
wait, rim
blow steering wheels.
Wheel.
So the rim of the steering wheel, you're holding it. Of course, in old cars, they're much thinner. You squeeze it really hard, and the horn blows.
Right. Okay.
So you have
there's some horn rims and different things on older cars, but it's the whole thing.
Before this, every horn was a button or a ring. You're right, towards its own thing. This one, you don't need any of that. You just squeeze it really hard.
Right.
The problem is these were made out of plastic and things. When it got really hot, they would make contact, and the car's horns were honking all the time.
That's great.
Nonstop. Or people are turning the steering wheel, they're gripping a little bit harder. Honk, 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 honk. Like, it lasted 1 year.
Yeah.
And they got rid of it. They had to retrofit, take all these steering wheels off and switch it because it was, really stupid.
I totally get it, though, because it's like you park your car for like 20 minutes in a parking lot in the summer, and it's just like 1,000,000 degrees inside, so that would totally happen.
Right. Well, and then there's one as we get into the 80s and 90s that we are very familiar with, and that is the automatic seatbelt.
No!
So for you,
these are the worst.
Next generations, it was a really dumb thing they did in Japanese cars and like Ford Tauruses, where you would close the door and then the shoulder belt would come automatically and just
They're so bad.
Lock you in.
They would decapitate you. They literally would decapitate you.
Well, if you weren't thinking about it and you were leaning forward the wrong way, then it'd like hit you and all this stuff. So it was so annoying. People were actually disconnecting them, unplugging, which killed the purpose of it in the first place, was to get people to wear their seatbelt. But they would just, put on the lap belt, because you'd have to separately do the lap belt on most of these. But then the shoulder one.
Or you buy a contraption that's just the male part, right? Is that weird to say? And shove it in. So it didn't move anymore.
It's the early days of seatbelt laws and getting people to, buckle up all the time.
I get it. I like the concept. That's great. Saved a lot of lives, I'm sure, but it was very annoying. Maybe it deterred people because then they would purposely not want to put it on.
It was gone in a couple of years. It was all on a pulley or belt that pulled it all back, so it's something that could fail. Obviously, it locks in. Once it's locked in, then you're safe. But then you're not stuck in it either, because you can just click a button and it releases. But it was very annoying.
I would say the most annoying safety feature on any car ever.
Now, another one that we didn't get much of in the United States because everybody speeds, but in Japan, Europe, this is a lot more popular, speed chimes, where the country's max speed limit is this, and then if you go over it, there's a chime that kicks on that does not stop. Ding, 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 over 55, 60, 65 or whatever, and there's no turning it off, no matter what. Someone's dying and you're rushing to the hospital, you just have to listen to the noise as you speed.
Point. I didn't even think about that, but that would be awful. I completely get it, because you don't want people to speed. Those are the most dangerous accidents when you're going over, that miles per hour. But it's just shouldn't happen. It's un-American.
Yeah, we've talked about in a video before where there's software now being proposed to limit the speed to where the car recognizes it and doesn't let you speed. But this is sort of an early version of it where it's trying to annoy you not to speed.
Right. I get it if you work for a company, perhaps, and they want to put safety measures in because there are products in the car. I don't know why I said that, but I believe that there's some certain applications for it. Perhaps when your children learn to drive and they're 16 years old, I mean, there's a reason why guys' car insurance costs so much because they get in accidents. We want them to be safe. So I would put that perhaps, you know, in in teenager cars.
Yes.
By the time you're 21, you get it taken off or whatever that would be. But that would be the most annoying thing. If you go to pass somebody on the highway, you're just supposed to keep up with the rate of traffic, and that booted.
Absolutely. Well, now we are finally in the modern era where safety features roll out. It seems like every year there's a host of new ones. But Volvo has been known for its safety and doing a lot of pioneering things, but they've done some weird things.
Oh, have they?
The weirdest one is definitely a heartbeat sensor.
What?
So it's not because Volvo owners are old and they're worried about them dying while they're driving, the car parks itself or whatever.
Right.
It's a way for you to know if someone is in your car as you walk up to it. So they can tell if a seat is occupied by the heartbeat.
That sounds creepy, like Christine, the movie with the Plymouth Fury. Like, Christine knows you're close. She can hear your heartbeat.
Right. But for whatever reason, not like occupancy sensor with somebody sitting in it, but it's a sensor that knows it can detect a heartbeat in a car, and it sends a message to the smart fob with Volvo and tells you there's somebody in your car.
That's crazy. That's pretty interesting technology. That's cool. Whatever waves, radio microwaves that are giving you cancer, but they can detect your heartbeat without even like touching something metal. Because normally you have to touch, you know, like workout machines and different stuff, you have to touch some metal contraption, or you have your smartwatch that has metal on it. But obviously you're not sitting on a metal seat.
Right.
So I don't know how that technology works. It seems very interesting.
It's creepy. It's weird. Volvo also did another weird one where they had a pedestrian airbag.
Okay.
So what does that mean? Well, if it detects on the bumper that you've hit somebody, and then they're rolling up onto the hood, it deploys an airbag over the windshield that also pops the hood up, like ruins the hood, probably ruins the windshield, blocks all visibility of the driver to have a nice soft impact for the pedestrian that you just hit.
I mean, I get the application of it. You don't want to hurt someone, you don't want to injure them more, but it seems like it's a lot of trouble to go through, and it just seems very impractical if the driver can't see to avoid something or to avoid another person in the future. The problem with this is I think it would be fun to try it out, and I would love to just run into a car to see what happens.
It probably total out the car. I mean, just a little, bumping a cat or something like that, or a raccoon in the road, and it deploys your pedestrian airbag system and totals out your car.
You would totally throw Neelix at that car.
Yeah, but
that's terrible.
As far as safety features that I've encountered that are the most annoying to me, other than, of course, that seatbelt in the 80s and 90s that was really stupid, in GM vehicles, they have a vibrating seat that alerts you when you're about to hit something.
See, I like that.
Well, it goes off a lot, even though you're not very close, or it's a bush, or
a bush, perhaps.
It's not anything that you're actually going to hit, but it's just all the time in your butt, left and right side, based on what you're about to hit. Same if it thinks you're distracted. And also, speaking of distracted, I think Mercedes, they have the little coffee symbols saying like,
those are the worst.
You should take a break.
Those are the worst.
I'm fine. I don't need.
There's a coffee icon, a coffee cup icon that pops up on the center dash if you've been driving for a certain amount of time that says maybe it's time for a break for you. Breaky, breaky.
Like
you've been driving for too long.
It can detect your steering inputs to make like if it thinks you're dozing because you're not giving little steering inputs and things. So it's like, why not take a break?
No. That's the worst one.
Yeah.
I would like to get rid of that one. But I like the vibration of the seat. I'm not being weird, but I'm just talking about when you're in California on those crazy highways and the lanes feel like they're closer together in California. I swear they pile like 5 lanes in a row, where any other city that would be 4 lanes. But California, they just shove them in. You're so close to everyone. I completely understand having that, and I feel safer with that safety feature driving in California. Specifically California, that's it.
And I don't like lane keep assist. I don't like brake assist that can glitch out and brake when it doesn't need to.
Oh, that scares
me. I get that there's
so
a need
bad
for that, considering most distracted drivers on the roads today.
Right. It's an awful noise that happens, and you think your car, like something just completely fell out of the bottom of the car, and you're like, what just happened? But I get the ABS right.
Then we were in a Mazda when we flew to Colorado to your skiing accident. The automatic bright lights that I could not disable, and they were not smart enough to where I was blinding people. Like I just looked like a jerk. I can turn on my brights when I want to. So
you know who you sound like? My mother. She does that all the time. Bright lights all day long. Terrible.
It was inconsiderate. It was a
Very
rude thing that I was doing, and I
inconsiderate.
couldn't figure out how to go through Mazda's screens to turn it all off.
Right.
So.
It is. It automatically puts your brights on when it detects that nothing is around. But the technology isn't quite there yet for most cars.
Right. So that's all the weird safety features that I have found. I'm sure in the next 10 years there'll be a lot more. Thank you so much for watching.